Welcome to Ignite Your Confidence for women in leadership who want to speak up and stand out. I'm your host, Karen Laus. Here you'll get all of the tips and tools that you need to stand out with unshakable confidence. Let's dive into today's episode. Well, hello, everybody. I am thrilled, Karen, that we are doing this after months of trying to get it on the calendar. And I'm so grateful to Sue Revel for connecting us. So, a shout out to Sue. For those of you that don't know her, she's a wonderful coach and friend between the two of us. So I'm going to turn it over directly to you, Karen, to tell us about who you are.
Yeah, so you're Karen. I'm Karen. So just slight difference in name there. But my name is Karen Huller. And my area of expertise is what's called applied color and design psychology. And I help businesses and design professionals on how to use color and design psychology to improve well-being, create positive mental health, and just create positive change in the world. That's really kind of like my big thing is to use color and design to create positive change. And I'm also the author of the bestseller, The Little Book of Color, which for those of you who are just listening and not watching, I'm holding up my book right now.
And it's very
And
colorful, by the way. So for those,
sorry,
it's very colorful, literally.
it
So
is very,
it's
yes,
beautiful.
yeah, and it's out in 14 languages. So it was written for the everyday person, for people who love color, but also for people who are scared of color and might be a bit scared of getting it wrong or worried. And so this is really about tuning us back into not just color, but back to ourselves, because color really is this kind of like an inside out job, right? So the more we understand ourselves and the more we are able to know who we are, we can express ourselves through color. So that's really what the premise of this book is.
That's incredible, Karen. And can I ask you some questions, or is there anything else that you wanted to share
No,
about
I
your?
know only just that, yeah, and I do online, I work with a lot of, global brands. I work with, designers. I have online courses. So I train in color and design psychology. So it's really just the holistic whole of just getting that message out there through the designers, but also and architects, but also through, the everyday person.
Well, I love what you're doing, and I'd love to have you give us a tangible example because it can seem a little bit vague for those of us that aren't in this world like you. So, what's an example where you're doing this with someone and perhaps going with the everyday person, since that's probably most of my listeners, I would imagine.
Right. Yeah. So, and they're probably also business women as well, aren't
Yes,
they?
yes,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, I do personal color consultations as well, and they're very in depth. They're actually 3 hours. And
Wow.
so what I'm looking for is not just the psychology of the person, but the physiology of them, but to understand who they are, not who they think they should be or who they want to be or who they aspire. It's not about trends or what it is about becoming popular or fitting in. It's about really looking at who you are as the authentic you.
That's beautiful.
And yeah, so I really we really go deep into that. Um, it's not therapy, it's not counseling. It's really about the person, the individual, really tapping into who they really are, and then able to uh, show that in color and in the color palette and the colors that you wear, but also your design style. And by mixing these two together, you're able to um, express who you are authentically without even having to say a word. So you show up as the real you. You show up in any situation, whether that's, for your family, for your work, if you're going, on a date, if you're in the boardroom, you're going out to an event. It doesn't matter what that is. It's knowing the colors that you can wear and the design style that suits you, so that it doesn't matter what the occasion is or what the reason is. Or even if you're having a down day and you just want to hunker down and you need some quiet time, or you need some self-care, or you want to liven up and you want bring joy and bring happiness. You know, we can do this all through color and through design.
Wow. And I think it's fascinating because when I think about, okay, well, what is the problem that you solve? Like I'm thinking about the average business woman who's, I imagine most of us don't think about this of, oh, I need to go to I don't know what, if you would call yourself a color consultant or how you might describe yourself in that specific situation. But I love the fact that I imagine in some ways that you're solving a problem that most of us don't even know that we have,
Yeah, yeah,
perhaps.
that's yeah. Or that we're not conscious of it. So subconsciously we're aware of it because we open up our wardrobes and go, oh gosh, I've got nothing to wear, or oh, well, this is in fashion, everyone else is wearing it, so maybe I should too. There's these kinds of questions or thoughts or doubts that come into our mind, but we don't always realize maybe what that is. And so they show up in a way that's more subconscious and
Mhm,
more separate from ourselves. They show up in a way that's more external. What's everyone else wearing? What's on trend? What's the fashion this? Or if everyone else is wearing purple, I better wear purple too, even though I don't really like this purple, but everyone else is wearing it. Do you know what I mean? So the questions and the self-talk is usually very external and not how am I feeling today, or how do I want to feel, or how do I want to express myself, how do I want to interact with others, and what colors would help me do that, and what design style. Like, do I wear a suit, do I wear something casual, do I wear something flowy? It's those sort of things. Then
mhm.
that's more internal.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'm super curious now. I want to talk more about your journey, but now I'm sitting here thinking about what tips do you have for us? What could you offer the people listening?
We're going straight in, aren't we?
I'm like,
we're
I'm
just
ready.
we're just doing a complete left to turn, but not to worry, not to worry. So I mean, this is all about confidence, isn't it? So
Yeah.
we are everything that it's about. When we show up authentically, we show up as the confident us. And because quite often we will dress in a certain way and we don't really feel confident, but we're more worried about fitting in. But feeling more confident and more at ease with ourselves and who we truly are, and not, I guess, I normally end on this, but I'll start with it.
We're flipping
It's
it
that,
today.
sorry,
No, we're flipping it today unconsciously, perhaps.
completely. Probably if the one thing to take away is, don't worry what other people think about you, because you can never ever make everybody happy, and no, and the person that won't be happy is yourself.
Mm,
We're so caught up and so worried what other people will think, that the one person that needs to be happy and that needs to have that confidence is us, and we leave ourselves out. So the more that we can connect to who we are, the more that we can start just to observe. And really, for me, such a really powerful word is being curious. How do I feel when I wear this today? Or I notice when I wear this, I actually, by the afternoon, I feel very tired. Or this color, even though I love it, I'm it's so vibrant that you can actually get overwhelmed. So maybe what I might need is just a little bit of it. Or maybe I love red, but maybe what I'm wearing is not the right red for me, because there are thousands of reds and thousands of yellows. You can see this green that I'm wearing. It's quite kind of like a grass green.
mhm.
If I wore an olive green, which I love, but if I wore it, that every time when I used to wear it, in my previous profession, when I was a project manager and business analyst, and I made a lot of my own clothes, and I made this beautiful draped olive green top, and I just loved it. But every time I wore it, without fail, someone would say to me, "Are you okay? Do you need to go home? You don't look well."
Oh,
Because
no.
because the color drained the color from my face, and it actually
Wow.
made me look almost jaundice.
Oh my
But
gosh.
on the right person, that color would absolutely lift them up and they will glow. So
Yeah.
I guess the other tip is look at colors and put them under your chin and see if it makes you glow. You know, don't wear any makeup and just see if it makes you glow. Look in the mirror. And if you see that your face has lost its color or you can see shadow under your eyes, you look tired, you know that you can pretty well say that that color isn't a good color for you. But if you put
Mhm.
another color under and you can see your face completely light up and all of a sudden you just think, gosh, I just saw that spark, I just saw the my cheeks glow, then you know that that's possibly a good color for you.
Wow.
So
That's
that would be probably the tips. But the first thing is to really about getting curious about your own color choices and thinking, oh, okay, is this really me or am I doing it because everyone else is and I'm just trying to fit in? Um, so that's probably would be my biggest tip, is to really focus on your own response and your own reaction. Just do it from a place of curiosity, because then it's fun then too, isn't it? It's
I
not,
was gonna say it sounds
it's
like an
not just
experiment.
serious. Yeah,
Yes,
it is. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thanks for jumping straight to that. I was just thinking, okay, now I'm
Yeah.
dying to know. So let's talk about you. And you're just, first of all, I'm really curious if, as a kid, for example, was this something that you knew you wanted to do, or how did you get into
No,
this?
no, no. As a kid, I was one of these. I was a very adventurous kid. I was the 3-year-old where the neighbor would knock on the door and say, "Your daughter's on our roof." I got past 2 Dobermans onto their roof. I would be the one. Oh yeah, I was into everything, up to everything. I was the biggest. I don't know if you use this term in America, but tomboy.
Yes.
So I was the biggest tomboy, climbing trees, jumping out of trees into mud and jumping off waterfalls and you name it. I was like, that was me. Very, very adventurous. And then also another big part of my life was that more when I probably was in my early teens, I made a lot of my own clothes, but I tried probably every art and craft and whatever there was under the sun. And after about 3 months, I'd always go, oh, this isn't it. And then I'd try macrame, and then I'd try decoupage, and then I would try, oh, I don't know, knitting or whatever there was going, even folk art. And after about 3 months or 4 months out of every one of them, I'd be like, oh no, this isn't it. And I never knew what that meant. And I was always saying this, oh, this isn't it.
Wow.
Thankfully my mum and dad always just let me, like I had, paper making and dried flowers, and I had all these on the go all the time. And even when I finished high school, I then fell into IT, project managing, business analyst. But at night, like I lived what I called a double life. At night, I was studying fashion design, because I really wanted to get into something creative. And then even then, when I did fashion design and I did pattern making, I thought, oh no, this isn't it, right? So I got my diploma and everything in that, and I went, oh no, that's not it. And then I went, oh, millinery, that's what it is, hat making.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
oh yeah, so you name it, I tried it, and then I did, and I thought, oh, this is it, this is it. And then I went on to do advanced millinery, and by this time I was in my mid-20s, and I was I had just blocked a like a duck egg blue felt hat, and I'd put on chocolate brown ribbons and beautiful big chocolate brown feathers. And right out of nowhere, in front of the whole class, I just said out loud, oh my god, it's color. And and everyone said, what do you mean? And I went, I don't know, like I just like, where did that come from? um and I realized later, this all through my teens saying, "Oh, this isn't it," was me subconsciously saying, "This isn't it," because what was it was color.
Wow.
So still in IT, still project managing, still doing that during the day. I then went and studied color and design in Sydney in the evening. I did that for a year, and I kept on. And this is when it really started taking off. I was asking question after question after question, and I had no idea what I was asking,
Hmm.
but the teachers couldn't answer all my questions. So
Oh,
I'd ask questions like, why is it that I like yellow yesterday but not today? Why is it that I like this yellow but Mary doesn't like that yellow? Why? Why? And I was the ultimate why child. I used to drive my mum nuts with, everything was why. I Um, still am that child. And then I started traveling around the world, and you know, I'm in the UK now, but I went probably on every single color weekend workshop I could find to try and find what it was that I was looking for, because I didn't even know what it was. So not, I thought it's color, but still had no idea. And my absolute upteenth workshop, and then I saw another one and I went, oh, okay, well, I'll do this. But just to say, in the meantime, I'd studied child psychology, I'd studied interior design, I'd studied branding, all these things, thinking, is this it, and it's like, no, 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 that's not it. And then I did this weekend workshop, and then I did my usual barrage of questions, and the teacher was able to answer all of them. And she kept on answering them, answering. And I went, oh my God, I found now what it is I've been looking for all these years. It's called color psychology.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah. So it wasn't planned, but if I look back, I can plot and see what's happened. I mean,
Wow.
when I was 4 years old, I used to win all the school, primary school I went to. I used to always come home and win all the art awards and drawing and things. But I wouldn't say that that led me to where I am at all. But
Right.
it was just this. Oh, it's not. This isn't it. This isn't it. And then, oh my God, it's color. And then so oh my God, it's color is my first epiphany. Really
And
say that's my
yeah.
first epiphany moment. And the second one was, oh, it's color psychology. And then the bonus was that I was also color and design psychology. So then I went and um, learned under that teacher, um, and drove her completely. In fact, in the acknowledgements in the back of the book, it's a slight apology for driving her completely nuts. Because I, yes, was insatiable with my questions, because I leave no stone unturned. I have to understand everything to the nth degree, and just dig and dig and dig and dig. Um, and that's when I realized, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do with my life.
Wow. Can you give us the trajectory just in general of years? Like what you said 20s initially when you said that, oh my gosh, it's color out loud. Is that
Yeah, I was about mid 20s. And
okay?
then it was probably, and then I was doing all my other courses, and, interior design and child psychology, etc. And I was traveling the world, and I was working in IT, traveling the world, because that's another big thing of mine is traveling. And then it was probably my early 40s. That's when I found color psychology.
Okay.
So yeah, I hadn't given up.
You
I was
had
on the hunt.
you had or had not?
I had not given up.
Okay. You knew
Oh,
there
no,
was
no, I was
more.
on the hunt. I was doing course after course, reading books after books, just like going, what is this thing that I know that is out there? And like,
Wow.
and what is it? And where are you? It's
I
like,
love it. I mean, to me, this is such a lesson for everybody listening on persistence and
oh,
trusting your gut. I mean, you knew there was more.
yeah,
And I love that. And the
yeah,
fact that it sounds like most of your life was this curiosity thing
yeah,
of just wanting to understand and wanting to figure it out. And wow,
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, I am. And I guess I said at the beginning about, being a child, that I was very adventurous and always up to, playful mischief. is because I think that also put me in good stead to be resilient and to be curious and to be adventurous and to not give in and not give up.
Yeah.
Because what else would I be doing? Like, you know, why would I give up on something even if I didn't know what it was? Because there was no what other option was there?
Yeah. I'm really impressed just by the fact that you had the wherewithal to say this isn't it. I mean, even at a
Mm,
young age, like this isn't it. Because I'm thinking,
yeah,
I think most of us aren't thinking, well, what's it? And
yeah,
I love that.
yeah. And as a kid, as a teenager, and not knowing what it meant, but not having to know what it meant.
Yes.
I
Yes.
didn't question it. I just went, but I just realized it was a pattern that I was doing. And I'm like, oh, well, here we go again, on to the next one, just like
Yeah.
I actually, what I thought it was that I got bored easily. I thought it's because I didn't have a high attention span. And I thought, gosh, I get bored really quickly. That's what I thought it was. And I thought, well, if I get bored quickly, then so that's what it is. And I'll just, what's next? So that's what I kind of rationalized it as.
Okay.
But I know now it's got nothing to do with it.
Yeah. That's such a good reminder for everybody to really trust yourself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think with confidence,
Mm-hmm.
there is to be confident is also to trust yourself. Have
Yes.
the confidence in the trust.
Mm-hmm.
And in that niggle and in that you don't have to have the answer and you don't have to understand what it is. If it feels right and your gut and your intuition and your instinct is telling you something, and you don't, even if you don't understand what it is, that's okay. Because as long as you stay open to exploring,
Yeah.
it will come.
Yeah.
I just hope it doesn't take as long as it took me.
Well, that's really encouraging and gives people hope. That's why I wanted to ask, because
Mm,
I got the sense that it was over a period of years.
yeah,
And
it was long.
I do think that many of us, and I don't know, there's so many portfolio careers. I think about how, I remember going to school, and at a young age, what I identify with based on what you said is that I knew that I wanted to get a psychology degree because I was fascinated with understanding people.
And human behavior. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was very clear that I did not want to be a therapist or a counselor. And then when I was in my sophomore year in college, I read about industrial psychology,
Mm,
and I ended up starting in HR, but I didn't know that existed. And then
yeah,
to
yeah.
evolve in more and go, wow, what I really love about HR is the people development, and then became
Mm.
a trainer. And so I think that it's just a good reminder for anybody listening about the power of just honoring your own journey
Yeah.
and recognizing that we also don't have to just figure it out all the time. I think
Mm,
the days are long gone where, you go to school for one specific thing. I mean, unless you're really clear about what you want to do, but I feel like at least in my era, I think that you were almost criticized if you didn't know what you wanted to do specifically, and the focus.
yeah, yeah.
And I had to recognize, you know what? That's not my journey. Like
Mm,
I'm not focused on one thing. I'm leaving myself open, and I don't know to what it is, but I
mm.
keep exploring and trying new experiences and seeing where I land. And
Yeah.
I love that permission that you're talking about to me, because I feel like what you're talking about gives other people hope and permission to truly explore
Mm.
it is that they love to do, rather than
Yeah.
trying to fit into something else, like you said.
Yeah, yeah. And I find this word permission quite interesting because if we can't give ourselves permission, what are we waiting for somebody else to do it? Like
Exactly.
if there's anyone that can give yourself permission, it's yourself.
Yeah.
I've never followed the norm or followed what society said. I wasn't a rebel. It was more if it didn't suit me or fit with me, then as long as I don't, I do no harm. I don't harm people. I don't do anything that hurts anyone in any way. Um, but my choices were definitely all questioned because I didn't follow the path that society says we should follow.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't go to university. I didn't get married. I didn't have 2.4 children. I didn't have the house in the suburbs. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as I finished school, I was off. I was traveling. I went off to Africa on my own. I went to Egypt on my, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I was off doing things while everyone was getting a degree. I just said, well, this is my education. I'm going to learn on the job, and I'm going to educate myself in the courses and things that I want to do, not what a university has set for me. Because
Yes.
you know, I wanted to do a psychology degree, and I thought, um, I think I would go nuts if I had to learn Freud for 3 years. Do you know what I mean? That was what was in my head. That was what was. I thought, oh no, I can't do that for 3 years. I'm not doing it. So I did. I niched down into child psychology because that was the bit that really fascinated me, and I ended up doing that as a mature student myself. But yes, I can't remember why I got onto that little soapbox moment there.
No, well, I relate a
I'll
lot.
stop.
I mean, I did go to college traditionally right after high school, American high school. But I remember going to Germany when I was 16 years old, living with a host family, and being there for 2 weeks just was so exciting for me. And I always had this passion. When I'm from middle of the US, Minnesota originally, and I remember desperately wanting to go to Manhattan in my teenage years,
Mm,
and or from even a younger age. And my dad finally allowed me to go when I was 14, or he took me. But the thing that I feel like we have in common here is just the exploring the world. And then
yeah.
I pretty much right after college, I traveled in a performing group with 25 different countries and 150
Wow.
people, and we traveled all over the world and lived in host families. So I lived in 50 host families over the course of a year, and I did that for 4 years. And
Wow.
the experience of living in all these cultures,
Yeah.
not to mention sort of the petri dish of 150 20 somethings, and
Yeah.
from 25 different countries, traveling on a bus,
Mm, mm, mm.
community service, performing a show. But the idea of exploring and being curious about yourself and other people, to me, there's just nothing better than that. And when
No,
I
it's wonderful, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. And I think
Yeah. And
yeah,
cultures. Yeah. And landscapes and cities. And I mean, I've traveled to over 70 countries. I've climbed Kilimanjaro and the Atlas Mountains in Morocco, and I've dived and in Egypt, and yeah, I've been held in gunpoint in Tanzania, you name it.
oh
So
my
but yeah,
god.
that's what enriches life.
Yeah.
And that also builds confidence too,
I
that
was
you
gonna
can get
ask
out
you about
there and
that.
do it.
Yes. Tell
Yeah.
me, say more about that.
So, even climbing Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, I was there with a group. There was 13 of us, and 6 made it in the end.
Wow.
And I was, of course, if you have any problem with your heart, you can feel any pressure in your heart, you must stop and you must turn back. There's no heroes for moving forward on that. But I remember on the last night, I would take, so you have to get up about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to do the last ascent up.
Mm.
And I remember waking up, and then because there is so little air, I'd take one step and fall asleep. The guide would prod me in the back, open my eyes, take another step and fall asleep. Now, I basically did that all the way to the top. And I don't know how many hours that was. It was hours, hours. And I just went, I've come this far. I'm doing it. Like, I'm not going to make this.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I got to the top. In fact, our group was probably, I think they said it was one of the slowest groups I've ever had. But you know what? We all made it. We all made it. So, like the 6 of us
Yeah,
that were
that's
at
amazing.
the last camp. And it's so easy. It's easy to turn around. It's like, oh, you know what? Can't be bothered. I am like, I'm so determined, and so have so much kind of that. guess stubbornness as well and resilience. So I went, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it. And I was absolutely, yeah, absolutely thrilled.
Oh,
Thrilled that I did. But yeah, it was a very, yeah, it was a very funny moment. And then because when you start coming down, you're getting more and more oxygen. They were shouting to me, poorly, poorly, which means slowly, slowly. And as I'm going down, I got to the hut in about 20 minutes, which probably took me about 4 or 5 hours the night before to get up. I
oh,
got down in
wow.
about 20 minutes. And then they were shouting at me to stop, but I was such on a high that I then started running to the next camp. And then I realized I was on my own. And then it started to rain, and then I couldn't see the path. So here I am, I kid you not,
Oh,
on Kilimanjaro on my own. And I just stood there and I went, well, that was stupid. clearly I live to tell the tale. I'm here.
yes.
I'll
Oh
just
my gosh.
spoiler alert, I'm okay. And I just stood there and I went, what do I do? Because I thought if I start walking, I could just be walking around the mountain for days. And I couldn't see anything. The paths had all disappeared because everything had just, I mean, it was like a flash flood rain.
Oh
And
no.
then I just stood there and I went, all right, well, just don't move. You'll be okay because someone's going to come past, because the whole group was still, the six and all the guides were still to come past. I was on the path. I hadn't left the path. I just couldn't see where to go. And then all of a sudden I just thought, no, just be quiet and just listen. And all of a sudden I could hear singing. Now, this is probably not a smart thing to do either, but I followed the singing because I didn't know what the singing was, but I just went, oh my God, there's people. It just so happened that thank God they kept singing.
Oh,
Um, because then I got to the next, and it was they'd set up camp and they were singing while they were getting our food ready. And I walk in on my own. And I remember
wow.
they're going, where's everyone else? And I went, yeah, I'm on my own. And they just looked at me and I went, yep, it's probably the most stupid thing I've ever done in my life. But yeah, I don't know if that's uh I just had to trust myself, and I just had to stay calm and have the confidence that I'd be okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't panic at all. But I remember standing there going, you idiot. Like, of all the things to do, you have to get lost on Kilimanjaro. So
Well,
yes.
I'm glad that you lived to tell about it for sure.
Yes, I did. I did,
Oh,
unharmed, completely unharmed. But yeah, yeah,
great.
I wouldn't recommend that for anyone. So, but
Well,
yes, that was
congratulations though. I mean, that's an amazing feat.
yeah.
As we wrap up, what is one piece of advice you would give to someone primarily thinking about women that perhaps aren't as confident or would like to build their confidence?
Well, you know, it's interesting because you can be confident in some areas of your life and not confident in others. And I don't want to come across like I've got it all together.
Of course.
My absolute terrifying fear was public speaking. Absolutely terrifying. In fact, when I first started my work and I gave up IT and I went into my work full time, was around about 2007 or 8 when the global recession hit. It was also when I realized that no one knew what color psychology was. I mean, people would say to me, what the hell is that? Or you do what? Like, well, what is that? And I just went, oh my God, like no one knows what this is. Here I am, so excited, and no one else is excited. Like, why isn't everyone else excited? Um, so then I realized I had to go and actually educate, because no one, here I am wanting to say to the world, I've got this a wonderful thing called applied color and design psychology, and it's life changing, and for brands and for interiors, and it has such a positive impact on our lives, and influencing positive behavior, because that's really the thing.
Mhm.
Um, and yet no one knew what it was. So then I just spent years blogging, um, getting the message out there. Probably the you probably heard of things like BNI and those networking meetings where you get up
Mhm.
and do 60 seconds.
Right.
So I had joined one, and it was on a Friday, On Monday, I was already sick in the stomach and panicking about having to get up and do 60 seconds on the Friday.
Oh no.
Terrified. And when I took a marketing manager on, because I thought I've got to, how do I get this message out, what I'm doing? She said, Karen, what you do is so different. No one else is talking about it. I think you should get up there and speak about it. And I remember horizontal tears just flying out, and I just burst into tears and I was sobbing. And I mean, if you could have minus 100 confidence, like I
Mm.
had no confidence whatsoever. So yes, I would rather get airlifted in the middle of Africa and find my way out than get up and do 60 seconds. That's how
Yeah.
terrified I was.
Wow.
Um, so it took me years of a lot of personal development and a lot of personal growth. And I have someone that's called, she's a theta healer.
Oh,
Theta.
wow.
So I did years with her and building up my confidence. And it's all stuff that, from childhood, about being teased and being knocked and being ridiculed and being bullied and, all those sort of things that I still didn't think I was good enough to be heard. So,
Mm.
and I could hide behind my laptop and I could hide behind a blog and an article. But then, I actually mentioned Tamsin in the back of my book as well. She basically one day she rang me up and she said, oh, by the way, I booked you onto a radio station. You're doing a radio interview. And I was on the radio interview, absolutely shaking. And I got off, and I remember calling her, going, "Oh my God, it didn't kill me. I'm alive. Like, it's still, I'm okay." But it took me years and years and years to build up the confidence
Mm-hmm.
to do public speaking. And I did public speaking courses. I did, you know, all different types of speaking courses. And I was the one that would run out the room. I was the one that everyone would watch and go, she's
Wow.
the runner, right? And I was the runner, and they'd always have to come and bring me back. So you
That-
pay a lot of money for these courses, which I would then run away from, and they just bring me back in. Um, but again, it was my determination to do it because I knew I
Yeah.
had something to say and something to share. And it so if something is so important to you, but it absolutely terrifies you, but you need to do it in order to do what you want to do and get your message out and your mission and your passion, if it takes years, just chip away and chip away and chip away, because it probably took me a good maybe even 10 years.
Wow.
And
Wow.
also the other big thing that I was always told was never be the first person out the gate with in a niche or in an industry. And if I was still waiting for somebody to come up with color and design psychology and talk about it, I'd still be waiting, right?
Mm.
So I just went, no, I'm not waiting. I'm not waiting, and I've got to get up and speak about it. I'm terrified. So I started with those 60 seconds every week, which just terrified me. I
Oh.
did lots of radio interviews. I would get up and do talks and be shaking. I mean, shaking. And I would say to them, I need a lectern, because I was holding onto that lectern like it was my lifeline. And I had my notes and I read my notes and I didn't care, because you know what? You just have to do it. You've just got to get out there and do it. And so, I maybe 5-10 years I would have never been able to do this, because now we're on a screen, right?
Mm.
um
Mhm.
and for those who are going to watch it on YouTube, they will see that I'm speaking, and that this alone would have terrified me. So
Wow.
but fast forward all that time, now I do keynote talks around the world.
That's amazing. Listen
Yeah, now
to
I
that,
haven't.
everybody. That's so good. I mean, just
Yeah, and it's not
reminding
that I've got it
everybody.
all together with that either. I still ask for a lectern. I still have my notes. I still really, really prepare, but I try and not look at my notes very much and just use it as a placeholder. I'm not the person who can get up on stage and walk around and, all of that. I'm still not there yet. But
Sure.
it's but
Sure.
it's but it's practice. So I
Wow. What a
guess,
world of difference, though. That's
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah.
So um if you really believe in what you're doing, just do something every day, even if it's a baby step, just to move yourself forward, because at least you're moving in the right direction. And those days that I didn't even want to get out of bed because I just went, oh God, no one knows what this is and what am I doing? And no one will even listen. And everyone thinks what I'm talking about is a load of rubbish. And they're all just going, oh, what a load of nonsense. And I just thought, no, what's the next best thing that I can do? What's the next one thing that I can do, even if it's tiny, that will move me forward? And that's basically, I feel like I crawled the last 10 years. But then, 2 years ago, I won't even say 10 years, but 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, no, actually, I should say, my book's been out for 3 years. So 5 years ago, when Penguin called me and said, we want someone to write a book on color psychology, and when we've looked on the internet, we've scoured everything, you are everywhere. You,
Wow.
everywhere we look, you are talking about it, and so you are the right person.
That's
And
amazing.
I thought, it's all paid off. It's
Yay.
paid
Well,
off.
where can we reach you, Karen? Thinking about
Yes.
people
So
that want to get in touch with you. Yeah.
yeah. So if you, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm everywhere. But if you search for Karen Haller, so that's Karen, and my surname is Haller. So you'll find me on Instagram. My website is karenhaller.com. I've got the little book of color.com. You can download the first chapter for free if you want to read the first chapter of the book. But
Excellent.
yeah, if you just put my name in, it'll
Fabulous.
I'll turn up.
Everywhere. Yes, I can attest to that. Well, Karen, I keep wanting to call you my name, Karen. Karen and Karen. Thank you for coming. I love the journey that you shared and that you have walked us through, really. And it is so hopeful for the rest
It
of us.
is. There is. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Just trust
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thanks so
Yeah.
much for being here
Oh, thank you for
today.
having me. It was a
You're
pleasure.
welcome. And that's a wrap of another episode of Ignite Your Confidence. I'm your host, Karen Laus. Thank you so much for listening. If you loved today's episode, please subscribe and leave a review. It helps other people find the podcast faster, and it certainly helps me. If you're interested in more tips and tools around confidence, please join me over in my Facebook group called Ignite Your Confidence with Karen Laus. Remember, you too can stand out with unshakable confidence.